Yes.
Your phone died. I'm so happy to have you back. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
So that's why, and we are the best connection in the entire state is here.
Can you believe that?
Can
That's,
you believe
I
that?
mean, look at that. It's like such a stunning view. Okay, so let's just start from the beginning. Would you all introduce yourselves and tell us where you are?
Okay. So we're a couple. I'm English, Keith's Portuguese, Portugal, and we bought this estate from his family as a second home. And then we decided to build a vineyard. Then we did a marketing course at UC of Davis, actually in California, and decided we were going to make a winery. So this is what happened, and this is where we are now.
Yeah. And Alison forgot to mention, but she did a master's in winemaking in the university, the Catholic University in Oporto.
Which is quite
Oh,
interesting,
wow.
really interesting,
actually.
Four languages.
That was it was a very interesting course. So she's very well trained to do this business. I'm more the vineyard guy, and Alison is well, she's in charge of most things really.
Okay.
The heart and soul of it all. And the reason why we do this wine is mostly to keep the estate going. The estate has got, as Alison was saying, 600 acres,
Okay.
and of which we have about half in olive groves. We have
Wow.
about
Okay.
75 acres of vineyard, and the rest we
Uh-huh.
have an oak forest, cork, an acorn
Oh, wow.
oak forest, which is very good for feeding up the pigs, out of which you do the prosciutto, the pata negra prosciutto, which is by far the best prosciutto
in the world, which I'm sure you know.
Needs
Yep.
the pigs to come into our forests and eat its acorns. So basically, we've been working on this estate for 22 years.
Wow.
And we'll continue working on this estate until we die, I guess. And we're very fortunate now that we're able to, particularly me, because Alison dedicates herself 100% to the estate and to the winemaking. But I work in Lisbon.
And enjoy drinking the wines.
I enjoy drinking the wines, but now we can work from home. So in our lockdown, we came to Alentejo, and we spent
Okay.
2.5 months here. And now we've decided that we're going to spend half our time in Lisbon, half our time here, thanks to
Great.
the way,
COVID.
thanks to COVID, the way the world has changed. So I think that's a bit about us. You want to ask us more
There's
questions?
always an upside. Sure. And just to be aware, when there's a connection like this, I will stop talking and there's a pause till it arrives to you. So it's a little wonky, but that's what it is. And Beth says that they're all delighted to meet you. Austin and the door, Alison, but they're happy to finally meet you. So can you tell us about the region in general, and then the winery more specifically, what wines you make and what grapes you grow, what wines you make?
Okay.
Can I? Shall I?
Sure.
Okay. So Alentejo is 1/3 of the country. If you draw a line between Lisbon and Madrid, down towards the Algarve, which is the beach area, that's Alentejo. It's huge. It has several important industries. Winemaking is one of them. 25% of Portuguese wines are from the Alentejo region, and they make 50% of the world's cork is from Alentejo, and 50% production in Portugal is from Alentejo. So it's a farming region. It's not well populated. I mean, the nearest village to our farm is, the estate is about five kilometers away. So everything's a long way away. It's very dispersed, but it's very beautiful. Not in a manicured way, but in a sort of a raw beauty. It's absolutely lovely.
How can I explain to you? It is similar. The landscape is very similar to California.
the Chaparral.
Oh, okay.
The Chaparral. It's the name that you call the vineyard, the country in California, and Chaparral is the name of a young forest of cork oak trees. So Chaparro in Portuguese and Spanish is a young cork tree. And so Chaparral is when people got to California, the Spanish got to California, it just reminded them of these oak forests that we have here in Alentejo and Extremadura, which is also bull country. So it's the landscape is not dissimilar to California. In terms of wine, we've been doing wines in Alentejo since Roman times. There was two emperors that came from here because the capital of the Roman times was here, and the wine was very famous already in Roman times, coming from Alentejo. I used to go to Rome here, so we've been doing wines in Alentejo forever.
Yeah, but it's become a rediscovered region in a sense because 50 years ago it was considered the breadbasket of Portugal, and it really was production of food for the people. And the vineyards have been recovered as a great business since then. So,
grapes. Yeah, I think Jeff also asked about grapes. What grapes do we grow?
So we have international varieties, 3 international, sorry, Merlot, Syrah, and Petit Verdot. And we do a flagship, which is our flagship wine. People remember us for our Petit Verdot. It's a single variety, usually 1%. And then we have 4 indigenous.
I'm Alison. I'm getting a lot of wind all of a sudden.
Okay, I'll move. It is getting windy. Is this better? Is this more protected?
Oh, it's just got windy. A little bit, yeah. Could you better now? Yeah. Could you repeat the grapes again? I'm sorry.
So the 3 grapes international were the Merlot, Syrah, Petit Verdot, and the Portuguese Touriga Nacional, Touriga Franca, and Alicante Bouschet. And the Touriga Nacional is from the home of the Dow region, but we plant it in our vineyard. The Touriga Franca is the grape most used in the Douro region where they make port. And the Trincadeira and Alicante Bouschet are typical from this region. Trincadeira produces quantity, and Alicante Bouschet has an amazing dark colour. And it was a tintura.
Yeah.
Okay.
French
Tinture, we say,
yeah. So that's the palette of flavors we have to make our wines with. And in our Azamore wines, which we were delighted this year because we got a gold medal at the Sommelier Awards, which means that the sommelier chose our wine and thought it was one of the best in there. We use all of those grapes every single year. So that the whole vineyard goes into that wine.
The other thing we do is we only make wine out of our own grapes.
Okay.
And then we design this winery thinking about the vineyard. So we are able to pick 2.5 acres of the 70 acres, the 75 acres we have. We designed the winery so we can pick 2.5 acres for each tank. So we make very small plots because we designed the winery. Actually, we designed the winery with some Australians. We thought they were very cool on designing wineries, and actually we also planted this vineyard 20 years ago with Richard Smart, the Australian viticulturist, and the Portuguese equivalent of Richard Smart. Only he never went as far as Richard Smart because he couldn't speak English, but he definitely knew as much as Richard. But sorry, I'm blocking the view.
Yeah, can you see the view? I think you can see the view.
Yeah, why don't you show us around and kind of explain what we're looking at? It's a lot of wind again, but can you show us around to what we're looking at?
Okay, so here we are. This is the winery at the front. We've got 2 huge palm trees. One of them, the very tall, skinny one, is 150 years old. It's from the Himalayas.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
Wow.
And
The other one is a Argentinian Kentia palm tree that we just planted because there's a plague in
Portugal's of plant trees. So maybe I'll start around. So this is a wall terrace, and if you look over here, you can see the distance, and it's Spain over those hills. And can you? I hope it's not too windy for you, Jeff. Can you hear?
It's okay now. Yeah.
Okay. And the olive trees in the front. We've got a lot of weeds this year in the middle because it's been a very wet year, which is promising for the wines because the vineyard has really thanked the rains. We've had 7 years of drought, basically. So that's where we are.
and
Water over there.
maybe you can take a picture. You can take a picture of the chapel, so they can see.
Yeah, but I need it. I don't know if I can. I can't get it in thing. We've got a chapel here. It's a tiny chapel.
Oh wow.
Our architecture, as you can see, this is
very
where
simple.
the mission type of style that you see in California came from.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the origins of all the mission style. Is the way we used to do the estates here and in Spain.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where we receive people when they come and do tastings and whatever. Over here, through this gate, is actually the winery. It just looks like one big, long building, and it's deep. It goes into the rock, so it's always very cool. The winery. It never is over 125 degrees. It could be 40 outside, but only 25.
Can you show the forest at the back?
Oh, yeah. So I'm sorry, it's a little bit weedy and stuff because of the rains. We haven't really got much in here yet. But in the background, we've got the forest. Sorry. Anyway, time's running out, and we're talking too much.
No. I was saying times are weird, and so you're forgiven for not having everything just right. And I was saying that's why these vineyard chats, we're outside with bad connections and wind and sun, and so it is what it is, and people are very forgiving right now because of that. So the indigenous grapes, would you talk a little bit about that, like what the wine tastes like, what the grapes, because people don't have so much familiarity, and this is a consumer audience more. So can you explain kind of the international grapes we know, but the indigenous grapes, what they taste like, and then what you might eat with them?
Okay, so Touriga Franca, which is the grape that we've planted, which is delicious in our winery. It really comes out. We've got very slaty soils, which makes a huge difference because the vineyard really has to fight, and there's a mineral quality to it. So if you think, I don't know if you're familiar with port wines, but if you think of port wines and the initial nose, that's the grape that is the Touriga Franca principally.
It's very floral.
It's quite floral, but it's got a deep base as well, and it's very elegant with soft tannins. Normally, we really into soft tannins. And the Touriga Nacional, I've never particularly loved it in our vineyard. It's not its natural home, and it tends to be very floral bergamot type of curses, I would think.
Oh.
And that's sort of and I'm thinking Trincadeira I'm not crazy about, but I remember on 2004 selected wines I put it in, and I didn't like it because it was almost like an unripe Cabernet, but after 5 years it gave an amazing structure to that wine. And I remember the Wine Spectator at the time, not Wine Spectator, Wine Enthusiast at the time gave it 92 points, and I didn't really understand in 2004 what that could mean. But the wine tastes amazing today, and that quality of the Trincadeira, that green bell quality, it's gone, and it's just become an amazing structural and beautiful wine. And then the other one was the Alicante Boucher, which is a tint, as we say in French, Teinturier. Yeah.
But that's I would say that Alicante Boucher is actually our star. It is the most Alentejano of grapes, and he has produced some of the best wines in the 20th century in Alentejo, and wines that last very long, and that's thanks to Alicante Boucher, which is the most Alentejano of our grapes.
So talking about, I'm thinking more of the blend, like the Azamore blend. You would replace that. It's fantastic with black pig. We've got very strong flavors here: olive oil, garlic, corianders, quite strong flavors. So the wines have to accompany that. So none of our wines are light like a Pinot Noir. Not anywhere near it. But they're quite fruity and they're quite appealing. They've got a lovely nose, and they're good to accompany food. But they can be without food because they're sufficiently elegant. But anyway, is that answering your question? I'm not
Yes,
sure.
exactly. You know, it's great. It's so rare that people get to hear the winemaker discuss what the wine actually tastes like in a sales pitch, if you will, you know, because people are used to going to the store and seeing like two sentences on a shelf talker in a wine store. So to hear it come from you is really special. Can you talk about the roots of the name Azamore?
Yes, definitely. Our county, Villa Viçosa, is the head of the Dukes of Bragança. The Dukes of Bragança
With a royal family.
Well, it's a ducal family that goes back to the 14th century, but they became the last dynasty of Portugal in the 17th century, all the way to the 20th century, and they for 350 years, Portugal, and one of the places that was part of Portugal then up to 1750 was the town called Azamore, which was conquered by the Duke of Bragança. So when you get to we have to go there one day, but when you get into his Renaissance palace here in town,
which is a marble palace, which is really unusual.
Really unusual.
All
But it was
a
very, very thriving Renaissance court. The entrance is his conquest of Azamore, which was his conquest in Morocco. So he was very proud of it. So the entrance to the palace is the conquest of Azamore. Now we went to Azamore this summer, and Azamore is also a fortress that was built according to plans of Leonardo da Vinci, because it's the first fortress that is designed outside Europe to withstand cannonballs, the artillery that was being developed in the beginning of the Renaissance. So Azamore is connected to our terroir, is connected to the fact that it's a wine that we like to show throughout the world, like the Braganzas used to go to, and it's very linked to America because the first hero of the civil rights movement in America, and this is very topical right now, was a guy called John of Azamore, and that guy was a guy from Morocco. He was a slave, and the Spanish conqueror of Florida saw him fighting so well. When they got to Florida, they gave him his freedom and said, "You fought like a free man." He was a colored man, so you are not to be my slave ever again, the way you fought. So John of Azamore is a Moroccan guy that became free in Florida during his conquest of Florida. So there's a lot of renaissance to the name, and my family has been connected to the renovation of the palace of the Braganzas here. So it meant a lot to us, and we decided to
call our wine that.
Call our names that, you know.
Not knowing that if you do a wine list in a restaurant, Azamore, because it's got an A, is usually at the top. And we hadn't thought about that, you know. That was quite good.
Because the name of the estate is impossible to say for English-speaking people, so we
wanted a simple but a great name that reflected it.
We didn't want any barriers between us and the consumer, you know.
Yeah. So any more questions? Because we really can talk quite a bit, as you can see.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm afraid my phone is going to die from the heat, but I think
oh my
we're
goodness. Okay.
No, it's fine. I think we're fine. So could you, let's see, Alison, just tell us a little bit. You said you're wine school, but Beth says you have a very fascinating history about coming from England and getting into wine.
The fascinating history is that, well, I don't know. I went to university and did a postgrad, an MBA, which at the time, I mean, we're talking a few years ago, was not that usual in the UK, where I met Joaquim. So he finished his MBA and worked in the city, and I finished my MBA and worked for Exxon. But being a Latin, as I'm sure a Latin Joaquim, you really want to go back to your family. Your family is very important to you. I'm sure Beth will attest to this too. And so you really want to go back to your family. So Joaquim wanted to come to Portugal, so I came with him. And I had a language, which I do speak quite well without that many mistakes or very few mistakes.
So it's a difficult language.
It's not an easy language. It's not an easy language. It's Spanish, but more complicated. And so here I am. And I decided to do winemaking. I do anything. I had 10 years at home, which was marvelous with my children when they were younger. And that's such a privilege today. And I came back and I started running this business with Joaquim, and it's just been amazing. It's just been an amazing experience.
That's awesome. So what is it like as a like that's very unique that a wine estate has maybe more connections you make?
It's very unusual that what? I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry.
That you have horses and olives and cork.
Yeah.
Well, olives and cork, wine and olives are a perfect combination of crops, because you tend to stop the pruning of vineyards and go on to the pruning of olives, and you tend to finish off the crop of vineyard, and you go on the vintage, and you
go on to the picking of the olives.
So the Mediterranean, French guy, historian used to say, the Mediterranean starts with an olive and finishes with an olive. Wherever there's an olive, it's the Mediterranean. And vines.
I love that.
And vine is the Mediterranean culture par excellence, because the climate is the way the rain falls is totally adjusted for what the crop needs.
Yeah.
And so they go together very well.
Yeah. That's one thing I didn't mention.
That's really interesting.
About Alentejo. It doesn't have a lot of water naturally.
So the combination of grapes and vineyards, and actually you see the Australians putting on a lot of olive groves. But basically, they perfect cultures to go with one another to keep your staff employed all year round, because what you want to give people is give them a job all year round. And stability. So if you only do vines, after you crop, then from September till January, you've got nothing to give them as a job. And in the same, and also there's a lull there between May and September. So you want to fill the gaps so that you can give people work all year round.
That's brilliant.
And then when you think about the forest, the forest for us and the cork for us is like a faith, because if you don't have cork, you turn our lands into a desert. So we have a lot of sun, and when the terrain is hilly, it's not so easy for a crop. You must have a tree, because the temperature, you only have to go there. The temperature drops about 10 Celsius when it's 40 Celsius out there.
Underneath
the tree.
Which is amazing. It's a microclimate.
And you do not want the sun bearing on the soil directly and destroying all the organic matter and all the life that is in the soil that makes it rich. So the forest is very important to fill up those gaps so that you don't turn things into a desert, because we could be just like Morocco in terms of sun and so forth. And then when you have a forest like we do, you need to have some cattle, and you've got to be very careful. You've got to be very careful on the type of cattle, the amount of cattle, so that the cattle improves your forest, keeps down the grass without you having to move the soil. The minute you move the soil, you start destroying the roots of the trees.
The little roots at the top.
The little roots of the trees. So if you want to keep your grass down without the mechanic means, and for that you need cattle, but you also want to manage your cattle so that they don't go after the seedlings, the new trees popping up in your forest, because you have to renovate it, and you have to enrich it, and you have to take a very long view on the forest. And so it's basically, it sounds great, it sounds a real combination, Jeff, but it's everything that the soil wants. It's everything that the conditions demand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Without much intervention, without products.
Yes.
That is a really good lesson, and thank you for explaining that. It's such a really fascinating lesson of the interdependence, and as a complete winery, it's really fascinating. Can you tell us how things have been under the corona as far as the quarantine, and then where you are right now on quarantine?
Right. Well, Portugal's been fairly lucky because as soon as the coronavirus came out and it became obvious it was going to be a problem, people self-isolated before the government actually insisted we did. At that time, that week, I came in and the casual staff, because I do have some casual staff to do some of those pruning operations, I said it was better to stay at home because I didn't know what was going to happen and I didn't want to be responsible for them passing the disease. So I've had 2 months on minimum staff here, but it's quite isolated. Alentejo, where we are, as I said, it's a third of the country. There might have been 300 infections and 1 death. I mean, it's been nothing really compared to other places.
Less than 300 cases in the whole of Alentejo, which is a third of the country. And the deaths we had were not from people from Alentejo, were foreigners that came through. And,
we have a lot of foreigners living here.
But we didn't. And also because it's very sparsely populated, you see. It's a third of the country population.
I'm missing you now from a lot of feedback. I don't know if it's loud over there.
Yes, perfect. Can you hear us?
That's good.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Hello. Okay.
Yes,
What I did, I had to do some work in the vineyard. So I had to get a team. And at the moment, the team is, I got locals. They're wearing masks. They got visors, but they found them too hot because of the sun. They're wearing gloves, and they are only 1 per line. So there's a gap of 2 meters between them. And they have their own water bottles. They're distanced. At lunchtime, they sit separately. And there's always alcohol to clean their hands. I've got an alcohol gel that they have there that they should clean every single line. So, that's what I'm doing in terms of coffee at the moment, in terms of in the staff. And let's see how it goes, because it really is a bit trial and error, isn't it, Jeff?
Yeah, it is. And then in the country of Portugal, I can hear you now, yeah. What's the country of Portugal doing, like, as far as the quarantine now? Are restaurants open yet?
Restaurants opened last week.
Last week.
This is the second week the restaurants are open. The restaurants are open with half their capacity. There's a lot of rules on how
using masks, not masks.
How you go in and how the menu has got to be distributed. If they cannot hand you a menu,
you have to look at it on your telephone.
You look at your telephone. They've got to play. They have to put your place in front of you while you're there. There's a number of regulations. They have to disinfect your seat the minute you go out, and you see them doing that. So
it's quite scary economically because the restaurants which are okay, they're not doing amazingly well. I think they really struggle. And those restaurants that are doing brilliantly, I don't think they do as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we still have not opened the borders. We say we'll only open the borders beginning of July, the earliest.
At the earliest.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there's still some restrictions on movement between Europe, you know. And once
Okay,
that's
yeah.
lifted, maybe there'll be more traffic. But the traffic is still very slow.
Yeah.
Because it's all old nationals still.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway,
Well,
I mean,
I will.
Any other questions, Jim?
No, I will let you go. I want to thank you so much for bearing with me for the time change and the wind and for just taking your time to chat with me. And thank you to the whole team at Regal, too. They love you so much. And
Thank you
thank you.
for
this has
bearing
been a
with us.
pleasure.
Thank you for bearing with us as well. You know,
It's been great. Thank you
it's
so
been a
much.
pleasure
Have a
too.
good
And
day now. I hope to meet you in person
Thank
soon.
you. And you too. Thank
Okay,
you.
bye-bye.
bye.
Bye.